What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and for today I wanted to follow up on the video that I gave you guys yesterday. So we're gonna be doing a top 10 for the combat class. Now, similar to what I said yesterday, this list right here is my personal top 10. Not everyone's top 10, my top 10. The top 10 combat characters that I found to be the most useful for me based on how I like to play the game. Alright? This list right here is going to exclude the tier 2 natives, so no Wolverine on this list. This is also going to exclude the paywall characters, so no Agent Venom and no Carnage. And the reason why I'm doing this is because most of you guys already know that these characters are great, and on top of that, putting them on the top 10 list is going to take up space, and other characters that I feel like are very good and very reliable characters would otherwise not make this list and go unmentioned and unnoticed by the majority of you guys. So hopefully by leaving them off this list, I can give you guys a few more names of characters that you may have overlooked that could potentially do work for you. So with that in mind, let's jump into this list right here, and we're going to start from my number 10 and work our way down. So let's go ahead and open this thing up. So number 10, or rather 10B for me, because I really could not decide who I wanted to give the number 10 spot to. So hopefully you guys can help me out with this one. So number 10B for me is going to be Dr. Octavius, a character that was at the bottom of the combat class for a very long time. However, he did receive a rework and he has become significantly better. There is not really much in his kit, but what is there has been able to work for me. I have soloed several world bosses, soloed several Shadowland stages, and I have also been able to clear combat AB with him on the normal mode. Okay, so a very useful character. What he does have is a great 5 skill. It's a long iframe, and it also gives him a guard at the end of the skill. It also does a ton of damage as well. He also has a very usable 4-star passive that gets better once you tier 2 him. It's a decent tier 2 passive as well. And the 3 skill right here, it's a working 3 skill, especially since the majority of the speed types that you're going to put him up against has physical damage, so this will cut their damage to him a little bit. So 10B for me has to go to Dr. Octavius or Dr. Octopus. 10A for me is actually going to be this guy right here, the guy that currently has the most uniforms in the freaking game. Okay, this guy actually has 6 different uniform, and I do not think we are going to see the end of Captain America uniforms in this game. By the end of Marvel Future Fight, whenever that is, this guy might have 15 different uniforms, okay? Because I'm pretty sure with Secret Wars coming, or rather Infinity Wars, you're gonna end up seeing a bearded Cap, so expect uniform number 7 for this guy. Anyways, so Captain America is a super tanky character, so that's why he makes this list for me. He has damage block right here on the 1 skill, and on top of the damage block, he also receives increase to all defenses by 15%. This is great because you can keep this up pretty much all the time. He also has a slight iframe on the 4th, and if you have the uniform for him, any uniform, you're going to get some additional damage block. However, you should ideally buy the Marvel Now uniform, because as you guys can see right here, it has a really low cooldown time and it has a really high activation rate. So this right here is currently the best uniform for Cap, and if you do use this uniform with him, you will find that he is extremely freaking tanky. So although he's not going to be an ABX character or an AB character for that matter, I've never been able to clear any kind of alliance battle with him. I have seen people do it, but those people are whales and they have tons of resources invested in Cap. So for the normal player, this is not going to be something that you can do. However, he will be very tanky in Battle World, Alliance Conquest, that kind of stuff. So for that reason, I put him at 10A, just beside Dr. Octopus. Now, number 9 for me, guys, is the King of Wakanda. Sad that he's down this low on the list. However, he did make the list for me because he has a very good 5 skill that gives him damage accumulation and damage block. On top of that, he has several different iframes on the 4 and the 3, and he attacks very quickly, so it makes it so that he can hide in his damage block and his iframes and not take too much damage. The only real fault that he has as a character is that his damage is not that high. However, his survivability more than makes up for that. So for me, he makes this list. He's a world boss killer, and he's a Shadowland character for me. He can also do well in Alliance Conquest because of the fact that he has 3 different skills that provides him with safety. Alright? Now, something I didn't mention earlier that I'll touch back on is Cap's freaking tier 2 passive actually makes him significantly more tanky. As you guys can see, he already has the 3 skill that gives him 15% all defenses, right? Right here he gets another 15%. On top of that, he's getting a decrease to all damage received by 25%. So yeah, Cap is a freaking monster in terms of his survivability when you give him the Marvel Now uniform. So that right there was another reason why I decided he had to be on this list. Anyways, moving on. Number 8 for me is a character that I don't really use that often, but he definitely deserves to be on this list, and that is Shang-Chi. Definitely deserves to be on this list for me. He has a decent leadership, 24% increase to all attacks. That's very usable. On top of that, he has a great damage accumulation, tier 2 passive that racks up his damage a little bit more. He also has a 5 skill that has a good bit of AoE and some damage block in there, and he has a good 3 skill that increases his damage even further, and he has a guard on his 4-star passive right here, Chi Reflect. Very cool skill, absolutely love seeing it animate. I would like to see a little bit more from him. If he had a little bit more AoE or another stun or something like that, that would have been great, and it would put him a little bit higher up on this list, and I would probably use him a lot more often. Still really love him as a character. He is fantastic and definitely deserves to be on this list. Number 7 for me is the Beast. The big blue beast, guys. Papa Smurf in his younger days. This guy is actually a machine. Can't really say too much else about him. World Boss, he can do it. Shadowland, he can do it. And if you give him his uniform, which you shouldn't buy, it's a crappy uniform, but it makes him a supervillain, and he can clear Alliance battle on the combat supervillain day. So if that is something you're lacking, he can do that as well. Definitely deserves to be on this list. His tier 2 passive is not that great, but he has a great leadership. He also has amazing 5 skill, guys. Look at the damage buff, 55% increase to all damage. And on top of that, his defenses get increased even more by 70%, guys. That is a huge, okay? He also has a great 4 skill that is great for CC because enemies just get shocked like crazy, and it makes it so that he can keep them in check. And in something like Shadowland, this is the main way that Beast is able to solo a lot of stages. Very, 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 very good skill. Well, something that a lot of people should know is that this 5 skill right here doesn't only apply to Beast. This skill can be used similar to Werewolf. So if you're new and you know how Werewolf works, where you tap his 5 skill, tag him out, and then tag in someone else to do damage, you can do the same thing with Beast. So unlike Werewolf, who is mainly a support character, Beast is a standalone character. So he works as a leader, as a support, and as a standalone character. So you can just pop this skill, tag him out, and ramp up the damage with him. So for this reason, he definitely deserves to be on this list. 4-star passive is also very good, okay? Next one on this list for me, guys, is number 6, guys. He's slowly falling down the ranks, sadly, but he's still one of the top 10 combat characters for me, and that is Moon Knight. Moon Knight, guys. Moon Knight has very reliable damage. I know people always say his damage is low, but I've never found my Moon Knight damage to be that low. It is not top tier by any means, but it definitely is not low. The main damaging skill in this guy's kit is the 5 skill, of course, so that's why you won't see too many people using him, just because you need this skill for the majority of the damage. However, it's a long iframe, and if you have this uniform for him, which I recommend, you get another iframe right here. And once you tier 2 him, you get this great healing passive. So his survivability is more than counted for. You just want to make sure that you build him offensively and give him a damage proc. Okay, his 4-star passive is also decent. Super armor means he can't be guard broken, and an additional all defense increased by +10. is not something to shake a candle at. It is very useful, so that's gonna make him even harder to kill. Okay, so Moon Knight makes this list for me because of those reasons. He's gonna be great for Shadowland, great for World Boss. Most of this list, actually all of this list, are characters that can solo Shadowland stages and clear world bosses. A few of them, I will mention them, can actually do great in Alliance battle in extreme mode, and I will also mention them. Moon Knight is one of those characters. He can do great in extreme AB. Shang-Chi can do decent in extreme AB, and that's about it for those that I've mentioned so far. Beast can also do work as well. Number 5 for me, guys, is actually going to be a very, very surprising character for some of you guys. Well, maybe not if you've been playing for a while. Is actually Antivenom. Not Venom, because Venom without this uniform is absolute garbage. You want to get that correct, okay? Antivenom. So Venom with this uniform right here is a freaking amazing character. Amazing. He goes from being a 0, like I would say a negative, to being like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. This guy actually has four different skills that heal him. 4 skills. He has the uniform bonus and 3 of his other skills that heal him. Crazy, crazy stuff. On top of that, he has very good damage, and this freaking 5 skill right here is ridiculous, guys. I cannot tell you guys how many times I've been at the verge of dying. Yeah, dying with this guy just because I play him recklessly, knowing that I have the heals. And I get to the point where I'm about to die and I tap this skill and this guy goes right back to full HP. Just like that, the blink of an eye. Crazy 5 skill, great for survivability. He's a noob-proof character with this uniform. If you give him something like invincibility, it's gonna cut his damage a little bit, so you don't want to do that. But if you're a noob, if you're a scrub like me, this character is for you because he's really, really difficult to kill even for world bosses, okay? He's also gonna do work for you in extreme AB on Sundays if you don't have a combat superhero, because this uniform makes him a hero, okay? He's one of the highest ABX characters for Sunday's combat superhero day. So next character on this list for me is another character that requires his uniform. So far, the only character that kind of requires a uniform. Moon Knight's uniform is recommended, but the only one so far that the uniform has been required for is Antivenom. Another one that I'm going to say the uniform is kind of required just because of how I play him is Red Hulk. Red Hulk for me is a little bit above freaking Antivenom. I know. You guys were probably saying, well, Antivenom should be 4th and Red Hulk should be 5th. We can change the spots around. It's up to you. But for me, Red Hulk deserves to be on this list either way because of the fact that he has a great leadership. On top of that, he has freaking damage block, 2 heals, and very good damage. His freaking 4-star passive is also really, really good, and it gets better once you get him to tier 2. And if you build this guy with an invincibility obelisk, you will find that he is extremely tanky, and there's very little that he's not able to do when played manually. He can do work in alliance battle, he can do great against world bosses, and he will be great inside Shadowland as well. Take my word for it, I have lots of videos of this guy performing some really amazing feats. He is currently the best Hulk in the game, but we are on the verge of getting the Ragnarok update, so I'm really hoping that Netmarble topples Red and make the green guy great. Anyways, number 3 for me is going to be Titania, guys. Absolutely love Titania, and the reason why I love her is because 1, she has a great leadership. On top of that, she has great damage in this 5 skill right here. She also has damage block and damage accumulation. She also has healing once you get her at tier 2. Is not crazy heals like freaking Red or Antivenom, but since she is a super villain, I feel like this puts her up just a little bit ahead of those guys because we don't have that many really good combat super villains, especially ones that can be used on combat super villain day. Yeah, she can hold her own, boys, so definitely had to put her in the top 5 because of those reasons. Number 2 for me, and you guys probably already know who this is good old Flint. Okay, Sandman, guys. Sandman for me is number 2 because as of right now, he's the 3rd best character for combat supervillain day. So that is going to be great because he's free to play, he's farmable, so you don't need bioselectors like you do need for Titania. You can farm him from the special missions. He has very good damage, he has damage block, he has a heal. It's not that great of a heal, but he has a physical damage block and a damage block right here on his 5 skill. He has a little bit of CC in there as well, and a stun right here on the 1 skill. So for me, Sandman is very, very high up on the list just because, once again, he is a combat supervillain and we need more of those for people who don't have premium characters like Carnage or the disappointment that is Apocalypse. Anyways, next on this list, and number 1 in my opinion, is Hobo Fist. Hobo Fist, uniform required. Okay, uniform is absolutely required, and Iron Fist is at the top of this list for me just because of the fact that he has amazing freaking damage. This guy is an absolute beast with this 4 skill. In most cases, he can one-shot a lot of freaking characters, and when you use him against world bosses, you will see that he will chunk the world bosses if you have him built really well. Using this uniform, I've actually been able to solo flawlessly several different world bosses, including Black Dwarf. I believe I had that on the channel with this guy. This guy is an absolute beast in this uniform. Without this uniform, his survivability is very shitty, so he is required to have a uniform, and this uniform specifically is the best one for him. It actually gives him damage block right here, damage accumulation as well, and it gives him a nice 3 skill right here for some of you guys who need a little bit more ignore defense. It also gives him a long iframe on the 5 skill right here, so definitely a big bump to his survivability. The uniforms, all of them give him some healing, so with the iframes, the heal, the damage block, you can kind of see why he actually propels to the top of this list, because he has the highest damage out of every single one of the characters mentioned. Okay, so that's it for the list, guys. Iron Fist, in my opinion, is currently the best farmable, free-to-play combat character. So get this uniform and show him some love, and I can guarantee you, if you play him fairly well, he can do pretty much anything you need him to do. But that's all I have to share for this one, guys. Like always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.